Welcome, everyone, to our Shotsuki service for November. Reverend Gibbs is away today at the San Diego Buddhist Temple. However, we will hear his Dharma talk, online. And Kyoko Gibbs, Okuda Gibbs, has graciously, agreed to do the Sutra chanting. So we are very lucky to have Kyoko always as a backup. And we have, of course, Alan Goto, who's doing the live recording, and Kathy Kumagai, who's assisting there as well, and doing the organ. So, again, on the first Sunday of each month, we observe the monthly memorial service, Shotsuki Hoyo, in honor of those members of our Buddhist community that have passed away during the respective month in which this service is being held. Online, Sensei, and you will see it on the screen, will now read the names of those loved ones who passed away in the month of November, in whose memory this morning's service is being conducted. For those individuals observing today's service in recognition of your deceased family members, please come forward as Sensei reads the name of your departed loved one and burn incense in their honor. Thank you.
I will now read the names of the people we're commemorating here for the November Shotsuki Hoyo service. These are the names of the people we know have passed in the month of November. Please let us know if you lost someone in November and wish to have their name added to this list. Our November Shotsuki Hoyo list: Akiyama Jo, Arashige Harumi, Atagi Richard Kazuo, Doi Mio, Fujikawa Kusu, Fujikawa Kusu, Fujitaki Asakichi, Gibbs Myrtle Louise, Goto Takaichi, Goto Tsune, Hatakeyama Seitaro, Hayashi Yoshie, Hata Shigeo, Inoue Yoshiko, Inoue Fred Yutaka, Ishida Saku, Ishikawa Irene Kikuyo, Iwamoto Yoshiko, Kawamoto Frank Fujio, Kiriyama Masaichi, Kobayashi Kentaro, Konishi Tomiko, Masumoto Toshio, Matsuba Masai, Mito Ryoichi, Miyahara Torakichi, Miyashita Hirofumi, Nagai Toru, Nagatani Kiyoshi, Nakata Terry, Nishimoto Hui, Nishimoto Miyuki, Nishimura Eitaro, Nishioka E, Ogawa Kiku, Otani Kinu, Rikimaru Hatsu, Thano Hanae, Shigeishi Tatsu, Shigeno Jack Shigeru, Shintaku Minori, Suda Willie Kazuo, Teramae Emi, Tokinobu Kimi, Tokuda Hiroshi, Uchiyama Sakae, Ueda Kazumi, Ue Tanaka George, Wakabayashi Yoshikichi, Yamaguchi Kome, Yamane Seiichi, Yamasaki Ikaku, Yamasaki Takane, Yamashita Kiyoshi, Yamatoda Matsuko, Yamatoda Matsuko, Yonesawa Kinichi, Yonesawa Yukuyo, Yujiri Hatsu. These are the names of the folks we know we lost in the month of November. Thank you for joining us. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Anda Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Anda Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Sensei, for honoring those
I
who...
will now read the names of the people we're commemorating.
Well, thank you again, Sensei. It's nice to have Sensei here, even though he's not physically here with us.
I will now read the names of the people we're commemorating here for the November Shotsuki Hoyo service. These are the names.
Ellen. Okay. All right. Could I have the Sangha please rise for a meditation reading? Okay. The most beautiful people we have known are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen. May you heal past hurts and embrace new chances. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Okay, if you'll please be seated. Next, we will have Sutra chanting, which will be led by Kyoko Okura Gibbs, and it will be Juseige, which is on page 38 in your service book.
Please join me in Gassho. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Dagom chosegan hishimu jodo shigan humanzok seifu joshogak gao muryoko Seishu, Usai Shobingu, Seifu Joshogak, Gashi Shobutsudo, Myosho Jojippo, Kukyo Mishomon, Seifu Joshogak, Ryokujin Shonen, Joe Shubongyo, Shigumu Jodo, Isho Tenninshi, Jinriki Endaiko, Fusho Musaido, Shoujo Sankumyo, Kosai Shuyakunan, Kaihi Jiegen, Meshi Kommoan, Heisoku Shoakudo, Tsudatsu Zenshumon, Kosojo Manzok, Iyoro Jippo, Nichigatsu Shujuki, Tenko Onfugen, Isho み不詳願学エリ投資最小村志願若国家大仙王冠道国書天人東宇人名家ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがにしくどく平等性一切同発菩提心往生安楽ナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツナマンダーブツ
Thank you again, Kyoko-san. We really appreciate your doing this for us. It was wonderful. Next, if the Sangha will please rise for the Gatha, and it's in this book, Ondokusan II, page 146. So if everyone could please rise. Thank you very much. If you could remain standing, and Sensei will do the reflective recitation, which will be the Four Noble Truths, and that is on page 11 in the service book. Oh, I'll say, okay, sorry. Little mistake here. And we do this together. So, dukkha, difficulty, this not living in accord with the truth of impermanence and independence. Samudaya, arising, the delusion of self-importance expressed through greed and anger is the cause of dukkha. Nirodha, cessation. The transformation of greed, anger, and delusion is the cure for dukkha. Marga, path. Shakyamuni Buddha taught the 8th Eightfold Path as medicine for putting an end to dukkha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. Next on the program will be a Dharma message by Reverend Gibbs, and you'll see it on our screen.
Good morning. I will be honored to deliver a Dharma message for you that's being incorporated into your service. Thank you for joining us. This is our Shotsuki Hoyo service, and it is dedicated to those whose names I just read. Family, friends, members of our community, whom we know have passed away in November. November of one year or another. This is an important memorial service for me as my mother passed away in November 24th of 1992. She had a couple of serious flaws, faults, imperfections. She was the best person I've ever known in my life. I want to speak a bit about our need to find beauty and goodness in flawed, limited persons, situations, and objects. We can't wait for perfection to love people and things. My limitations are many, and I include the ones I share with some of you. For instance, not being able to be two places at the same time. So this morning, as you watch this recorded message, I'm actually at the Buddhist Temple of San Diego, officiating for their Shotsuki Hoyo service for the month of November. So please forgive me for not being in person this morning. Our denominational founder referred to this stream of tradition, Jodo Shinshu, as the culmination of Mahayana tradition. And in some real ways, Jodo Shinshu is the culmination of Mahayana development. Our tradition has drawn from the cultures of India, China, and Korea before being aged in the oak barrel-like culture of Japan, which is the direct source for our school. So all those cultural influences, Indian, Chinese, Korean, and then this crucial Japanese cultural background for our thinking. About a month ago, I spoke with you briefly about the Japanese sensibility and the background of Buddhist schools that developed or matured in Japan, what is referred to as Wabi Sabi. Allow me to remind you of what my conclusion is, that the essence of Wabi Sabi sensibility, after reading and hearing much about this Wabi Sabi perspective in Japanese culture, what I think it comes down to is nothing is perfect, nothing is finished, nothing lasts. We seek to escape the truth of impermanence, but reality calls us back to itself and to ourselves by showing us over and over again that nothing is perfect, nothing is finished, nothing lasts. My mother wasn't perfect. Was yours? Is anybody really perfect? Probably not. Is our intellectual, aesthetic, emotional maturation ever complete? Hopefully not. Hopefully we continue to mature in intellectual, aesthetic, and emotional ways. In our emotional, aesthetic, and intellectual lives, we are not complete. We're never complete. Always working. Will my life end? Yes. For better or worse? Yes. For better and worse? Yes, my life will end. Now, in Japanese cultural studies, these facts, nothing is perfect, nothing is complete, nothing's finished, nothing lasts. These facts are usually treated as a source for appreciating beauty, as Wabi Sabi as principles of an aesthetic sensibility. But there may be more to it than that. As a key part of the cultural background that allowed Buddhism to flourish in Japan, there may be more to Wabi Sabi than that, than being an aesthetic perspective. And actually, I think that the Wabi Sabi sensibility is something deeper than aesthetics, something deeper than aesthetics, something deeper than a preference for certain styles of art and architecture. That's why I've spoken about it with you recently, why I'm speaking about it again here today, and why I'll probably raise this again as a topic one day. The native Japanese capacity to appreciate that things aren't finished, that not just artworks, but our lives are never complete head. This is a very concrete sense of transiency or impermanence. When you think about those terms that are so often used to explain what Buddhism teaches as the fundamental fact about our lives, impermanence, transiency, they're sort of abstract sounding terms, to be honest, a little bit intellectual and detached. When Buddhism was transmitted to Japan, initially, it was plausible. This is the first time Buddhism had initial plausibility going to a country. When we went into China, it was not initially plausible at all. But the Japanese saw something here that clicked for them. Buddhism had an initial plausibility coming into Japan due to Japanese culture. A cultured Japanese mind said, of course, Wabi Sabi. Everything fades, everything disappears. Life is asymmetric. That's why we appreciate rough edges. That's why we like reserved, reticent people. That's why we prefer modesty and simplicity. That's why we value austerity, economy, aloneness. This is all part of the Japanese cultural background for Buddhism flourishing there and being able to come here. This acknowledgement of things becoming weathered and people becoming aged, this discernment of the inevitability of death, this preparation in Japanese culture made Buddhism plausible, cogent, and appealing. Japan, in a real way, provided fertile soil for Buddhism to grow in. The native Japanese sensibility that values weathered objects and reserved, humble people is not just a sort of sentimentality or nostalgia. It's a discernment of an irreducible lack in life. There's something wrong with our condition. One response to the actuality of aging, fading, death, and absence is to fill up that emptiness with distractions, with movies, with video games, with alcohol. But the very old, weathered perspective of Wabi Sabi encourages us to live in acceptance of the tarnishing of objects and the death of persons. Don't turn your eyes away from it. Now, even with the Wabi Sabi perspective we gain from Japanese culture, there is a sadness about this, about tarnishing, dying, and disappearing. There's a sadness, but it's a sort of sublimated sadness. It is not that I feel so sorry for myself sadness. It's not like that. It isn't some personal nostalgia. Wabi Sabi is more like, isn't life hard for everyone kind of sadness. And that isn't ignoble. That sensibility is hardly ignoble. Isn't life hard for everyone? Dukkha is a Sanskrit term that Buddhists use to describe that sublimated sort of sadness that is always, at least, in the background of our lives. It's not crippling. The sadness doesn't prevent us from acting. But it reminds us that the positive effects of our best actions will fade. In time, our influence will fade. All the more reason for us to appreciate this day. All the more reason for us to look for beauty and goodness in today and tomorrow and the rest of this week. We will run out of time. We will one day run out of time, but not in the next few moments. And probably not this week. We probably got a week, each of us. More, I hope. Let's resolve to appreciate life in this week. Let's resolve to value every day of the coming week. And we would do well to look at the period of a week or a few days to appreciate. Don't live in the moment. You'll never find it. The exact moment doesn't actually exist for human experience, an exact moment. This day exists. This day exists. This week will continue to exist for most of us, probably all of us. Most of us will finish off this week and more. Let's do it with appreciation. Every week deserves to be appreciated. At these Shotsuki Hoyo services, we recall the goodness of people we cared for. Some of those people were somewhat imperfect. Their lives did not last. They did not last into the present. Those people deserved our appreciation. Some of those people we deeply treasure. There's more than one name on this month's list that points towards someone I treasure. These people helped us to remember that each week is to be cherished, that every day is to be prized. Is every day a good day? There's treasure everywhere. Allow me to close on that thought. Those who wish to, please join me in Gassho as we close the Dharma message portion of this service. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Thank you.
taking something. We also have some Italian cookies because she loves Italian food. 50 Italian cookies and 12 buntinis. So I know Emery is our only young person back there, so she has to get a buntini, a little bunt cake. And so thank you again for coming to service. If you haven't burned incense previous to the service, please go ahead and do so. But, and also don't forget to pick up a little something to honor Kyoko-san. And, well, I don't want to say it, but she looks so great. It is her 50th birthday, and that's why we want to, she is amazing, just amazing. She's an amazing person, and all of those who attend the temple know that. She's generous with her time, she's generous, kind in her spirit, and always, always smiling. I always say, I wish I were more like that. Thank you again for coming to service. Okay, I'm sorry. Marvin has an announcement.
Sorry. Good morning. My name is Marvin Inoue. I'm a volunteer at the Japanese American National Museum. And a few weeks ago, you might have seen something in the LA Times regarding a book that was created called the Ide, and it's designed for people to honor their ancestors who were in the concentration camps and anywhere throughout the United States. What I found out at the time that there wasn't just the 10 war relocation centers. There were over 75 different locations where they held Japanese in incarceration. And the book was created. It it's very thick. It's it was originally started by Duncan Williams, Reverend Duncan Williams from USC. And the book will be at Janum for at least a year. The thing is I want to remind you of is that it's designed for ancestors, for you to honor your ancestors by going in and stamping the book, but you have to make an appointment, make a reservation to do that. And the tragedy is that what's happening is that some people are coming from out of state and they haven't made a reservation, so they can't stamp at that time. Sometimes they make special arrangements, but it's unusual for them to do that. The reason you need to make a reservation is that the people at Janum will do their homework so that when you do come in, they can locate your relatives' names very quickly in the book. It's an unusual way of locating where your relatives were. It's not done by alphabetical order. It's done by date of birth. So you need to know your relative's date of birth, and it would help to know what camp they were in. What other people have found, though, is that their relatives were not just in one camp, they were moved around, and a lot of people's names were misspelled. So it's important that you know the correct spelling of the name and the year they were born. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you very much. Please go behind. We have the cookies. We got to celebrate Kyoko-san. So, thank you again for attending service.